Empire.
Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. We're going to be joined by Jayna Hefford from PWHPA to talk about a women's hockey event that's coming up at MedStar Capitals IcePlex early in March. We're going to set that up later. But first, Karl, that we talked a lot in the last couple weeks about that hockey tournament in Beijing, and the NHL players not there on the men's side. The best women's players in the world were there. What were your thoughts on just the women's hockey there, U.S. Canada twice, especially for that gold medal game?
Yeah, I don't know if it had to do with the fact that the guys in the NHL weren't there, but I feel like it was the most fired up people have been for the Canada-U.S. women's game. At least it was in our household, and from some of my friends that I talked to, that they were just so excited. Even though the time change was weird and all that was playing against it, the fact that they were going at it was really exciting. And I thought the game was good. The hockey was fun to watch. I like that they're getting some more publicity too, and I think the level, the caliber of player on the women's side is just insane right now.
Is.
You know, like seeing how fast they are, their hockey sense is so good. How their execution, and I mean, I feel bad for the other countries because it's fairly tilted. And I'm curious, which I'd love to ask Jayna this is, how many of the women over in Europe could come over and play and mix in pretty good and not look out of place, because it's tough when you have 20 or 18 or however many on the ice of the best Canadian U.S. women playing against a team that maybe only has a few. I don't know. We'll find out at some point, but that's what's so interesting to me to see.
Yeah, and a lot of those players, like the Czech Republic, had a lot of players who were playing U.S. college hockey. Okay. And I think that's how the pipeline's going to get built, is you're going to have a lot of women's players from Sweden, Finland, Czech Republic, even Russia come over and play U.S. college hockey. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you take some of that back, and the more the hockey gets good here in the U.S. college ranks, the more it evens out. But the problem is, when the Canada and the U.S. teams are together for a few months beforehand, like they were this year, there's no matching them, right? Like if you have to take all that talent and you add the chemistry of playing together, that's what makes Canada and the U.S. so good.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we don't really get to see or hear much about what the programs are like overseas, right? Like what are they doing? Is it at all similar? How much time are they spending together? What are their facilities like? We don't.
I think they're just years behind.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, and that's kind of the way it's been, in a sense, I guess, with on the men's side too. There's been some countries that have been a little bit behind, and now they're starting to really get there. I think Finland's kind of a good example of that.
Slovakia is an example of that too.
Exactly, yeah. So they've been kind of like always sitting in that 5th, 6th spot. Now they're challenging for medals and winning medals, and I think that eventually will happen. I hope it happens, because
that'll make it a true tournament, right?
It'll make it a true tournament, yeah. So that's fun. I mean, it's I don't know. I'm just happy that we're getting a little bit more spotlight, and if we can bring some of those women over here and start playing in this league that Jayna's got going here, I think that would really be nice too.
Yeah, and early on Olympic hockey in the men's side, Canada would beat teams like 130-7. So let's stop with this whole like women's hockey shouldn't be in the Olympics garbage, because this is some of the best hockey we saw was even the U.S. against the Czech Republic in the quarterfinals on that side, where they got goalie. They almost got shellacked like you guys did in 2010, where you play a single elimination tournament. Stuff can happen.
Yes, absolutely. Well, didn't it happen? Was it Germany's goalie a few years back on the men's side? That
was absurd.
Yeah, so it can happen for sure, and you can have a couple really just outstanding players that come out and do it, and it'd be kind of neat. It was like what was the lady, the skier? She's American but competed for China.
Yeah, Eileen Gu.
Yeah, maybe you get a few women like that are like, let's go and play for.
Well, that happened. So this year, on the China team had 7 or 8 U.S. Canadian players. Their goalie, Kim Newell, is from British Columbia.
Oh, there you go.
So
that's what we're gonna get, which
yes.
would be really great, I think, to try and spread it out a little bit, but. I don't want to take away. We have almost a guaranteed gold or silver every year, and I don't want to take that away.
You do, but and that's the thing is for the Olympics, for me, it was always like sure, you want upsets here and there, but I was looking forward to that U.S.-Canada game.
Yeah.
That U.S.-Canada women's game was like something to look forward to on the calendar, because when it's the best women's hockey players in the world, like that, the pace of that game was absurd.
Yes, for sure. That's good hockey. That's what we always say. We want to watch at least a good game. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like if you think about snowboarding, we wanted to see Shaun White. We wanted to see him do really good.
You want to see the stars.
Yeah, you want to see that. So we want to watch them get in that gold medal game and play it out and see who comes up on top. But at the same time, it is nice to have just a little bit of that doubt that somebody's going to knock you off.
And the U.S. got a little bit of that, but I'm glad we didn't make a bet about this, because I knew the Canadian women were better than the U.S. women anyway. That may be the best Canada women's hockey team that's ever existed. I really like Marie-Philippe Poulin was terrific. Henri Desbiens gave up hockey 4 years ago and stopped playing. She went to go get her master's degree at the University of Wisconsin, started coaching goaltending, and all of a sudden she's the best women's hockey goalie in the world. Mm-hmm. It was just that team. I hope people appreciate just how good that team was.
Yeah, I don't know that we necessarily do appreciate that right now, but
it might take some time.
We'll go back and watch some of the games and just see what the breakdown was. But yeah, it was crazy fun to watch, and I'm happy I watched it.
Sarah Fillier was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Sarah Nurse set a record for most points in that tournament, and yet neither one was the MVP because Brianne Jenner was so good.
Yeah.
It's just the wealth of the embarrassment of riches that Canada women's hockey has right now feels like what Canada men's hockey may have had like 40 years ago, right? Like even before you came around to play, it was just generations where the NHL was 80% Canadian guys, and now it's 47% Canadian guys.
Yeah, no, it's true. That seems to go in those ebbs and flows, and I wonder, it's almost like the same way here with the Caps, like the team, when like Bondra and those guys were here, they, you make a run, and then all of a sudden you get this huge group of fans, this big fan base that's from that era, and then we kind of went a little bit cold for a bit, and then Ovi Backy come by, and next thing you know, you got this whole big group of fans again. So it seems to go in chunks like that. But I was thinking about it this morning too. Like there's so many, because I'm a hockey fan. There's so many women that came from Jayna's range that I remember clearly. I remember watching them play. There's the Haley Wickenheisers, there's
Angela Ruggiero, Cami Granato,
Cassie Campbell. Like there's a big group of ladies that at that time were just so damn good.
Yes.
And it's happening again. And so hopefully we'll continue to see that and just have more opportunity to watch them play.
Does your daughter play? Has she started playing? Does she have any interest in playing?
Doesn't seem like it, no.
That's fine.
I know. I'm hoping that she will, and I'm going to bring her out to the tournament coming up March 4th to 6th is what it is, and have her see the ladies skate around. I'd like her to play because I'm huge into being on a team.
Yes.
My wife is the same thing.
Yep.
I think hockey teams are very, very close, and it's almost like when you're on the ice and the glass and the boards there, it's your own little world. So you end up being tighter with your team. And so I'd love her to, but I don't really think that she's that into it.
It's not even the like I need to play competitively. Like she doesn't have to play in what's going to be the WNHL one day, but just playing a team sport is so good as a kid. Like I remember, like my parents were like, we played baseball, we played soccer, we played basketball, and it's just like just having that kind of team atmosphere. And hockey's great at teaching those kind of life lessons for boys and girls.
Yes, it is, and I agree with you completely. We need to find ways to get them into team sports and learn to play well with others. Not just on the playground, but in a competitive atmosphere like what sports brings. And so we're working on it. We've got a dance team, and that's about it right now. So
that's still a team.
It's still a team. It's different than what I would consider the team sports. The typical team sports. However, she's on the team. So we're working on it. But the boys are into it. I got them lacrosse sticks the other day, and they love it. They call it just cross. And they think it's so much fun to throw balls around the house. But I'm worried that my bourbon collection is going to take a ball to it.
Can you put any kind of glass in front of the bourbon, like just in case, like some plexiglass?
I'm going to have to.
Just in case?
I'm going to have to because Anson, he's 5, but he is, I don't know what it is. He got a way better hand-eye than I do. And he catches that thing and he just whips it back at me. And it is a lacrosse ball, so it takes those funny bounces sometimes, and he snuck a couple past me, so I gotta be careful, because I'd be upset. I'm debating, like, one way he throws it, he hits the bourbon, the other way it's the TV, and I've got to figure out what's more important. Which one do I want him to go after?
Once it warms up, he can do it outside.
He's going to do it outside. I got one of those nets you can throw stuff against, so I'll get him out there and just let him throw it against there and maybe land in another yard.
I feel like there's a whole generation of players who are going to do hockey and lacrosse, because there's so many similar kind of, at least it's basically hockey on grass with a few other things mixed in.
Well, yeah, lacrosse and hockey, at least back home when I was young, was you did them both.
Right.
Everybody did them both, and it's a little different now because everyone is just so hockey focused. Like it almost feels like you have to be hockey from day one. At least that's what a lot of kids are doing now.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's the right way to do it, but yeah, lacrosse was a huge sport for us. I know Tavares too. He was a big.
Oh, he was huge.
His whole family is a big lacrosse family, and look what he does on the ice. So I think it's nice. I think it's nice to be as well rounded as possible. I read an article about Pavel Datsyuk the other day and how much soccer he played. And I think I don't know if you saw this article, but it was him. He would play.
I didn't see any articles. I was in Beijing, man.
Yeah, that's true. You were cut off. You weren't allowed to see those articles.
But there was a lot of the internet that if we weren't on the Olympic Wi-Fi, we couldn't see.
Oh, really?
If we were on the hotel internet, you couldn't get. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you couldn't get Twitter. You couldn't get Instagram. You couldn't get Google.
Interesting. Not even Google.
It's a different world.
What's their search engine that they use?
Not something that I'm aware of.
Oh, really?
Not something that I was fully aware of.
Interesting. Wow, that's crazy when you think about that. Like,
but yeah, so the article was.
Yeah, and I think he was saying that he would play with shoes on ice a lot, so that he had to think before he would just decide to turn or make a play.
Sure.
It wasn't just like all of a sudden I'm going to stop and I'm going to turn the other way. He had to plan for it, and I think that from my understanding from the article, just helped with his anticipation and being able to maybe throw people off a little bit by making a move early, knowing he was going to go a different direction. And it's just cool, It's being a little bit more, I think, a little bit more rounded than just strictly playing on the ice with blades, puck, stick. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I talked to so many people who were like experts and parents who were just like, it's not healthy for kids to be focused on one sport. Just that, like, injury-wise too, but just to have some sort of well-roundedness that you can become better at a sport without being all involved in it. Because you can also burn kids out if you're doing it too much.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said though for the kids that are just addicted and love to play. And if they love it that much, you let them play it. But you got to look for the signs. If your kid doesn't want to go and doesn't seem to be happy when they're there, come home, then you might want to start thinking about something else. And my kids are young, so I'm far from an expert in this, but this is just my thought. Where my head goes with it. You want them to enjoy what they're doing. So I for sure won't be pushing them in anything. I would love to be able to be at the rink at 6 a.m. with a coffee, sitting at the corner here, just like my dad did it. But if that's not what they do, I'm fine with chewing spits on a baseball field as well. So
all of the above.
Or all of the above, yes.
Yes. When we come back on All's Caps, we're going to be joined by Jayna Hefford from the PWHPA and talk about the women's hockey event that's coming up at MedStar Capitals IcePlex from March 4th to 6th. Welcome to All's Caps. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino, joined by former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner and Jayna Hefford from the PWHPA to talk about the upcoming event at MedStar Capitals IcePlex for the Secret Dream Gap Tour. Jayna, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
We're excited about this. I know Carl's excited. He's going to be making a lot of appearances at this, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try and be there for absolutely everything. This is great, and because I have a daughter as well. We talked about it earlier that I want her to play hockey. Right now, she's not. I don't think she's seen enough of it, of women, girls playing hockey and stuff. So I don't think that's. She doesn't know, and so I'm so excited that she's going to have a chance to see it. And I'm just curious, if you can give us a little bit of backstory on how this is going, how it started, and I guess some of the goals that you guys have.
Yeah, so I run the day-to-day operations of the PWHPA and have played with the Canadian national team for 17 years. So player myself, played in a lot of different versions of professional leagues. Well, we call them professional because they were the best players, but a lot of work to do in the professional space of women's hockey. So in 2019, following the closure of the CWHL, all the top players in the world came together and decided that sort of enough was enough. We'd had enough leagues that have come and gone, and really decided that they needed to change the landscape of women's professional hockey. So the Canadians and Americans in advance of a world championships got in the same room, if you can imagine, because we all know the intensity of that battle, but got together and said, we're going to form a collective voice. We're going to stand up for our sport. We're going to ensure that we leave the sport better. So they decided that they wouldn't play in any league until one existed that provided the infrastructure and the resources that we would expect of any professional sports league. So it's been a long sort of 2.5 years since then. It's been a powerful movement. It's been inspiring. It's been frustrating. But, when you have the best players in the world that are sticking together in this unified group, led by the advice of Billie Jean King and Alana Kloss, it's been wonderful. And the success we've seen in the sport, we started the Secret Dream Gap Tour, and the idea behind that was that all of us grew up as young girls who loved to play the game, but very quickly realized that we couldn't dream to be professional hockey players. That, our dreams of playing in the NHL or winning a Stanley Cup was not going to happen simply because of our gender. So we want to change that. We want young girls to grow up understanding that there's a future for them in the sport, maybe as a player, maybe as a coach, maybe as an official, or maybe just a fan, but there's a future for them in hockey. And for young boys to see these strong, confident, passionate women that are, doing their thing as well. And so there's so much power behind this in terms of the future and what we're trying to drive for the next generation. But also, we happen to have the best players in the world right now in the Kendall Coyne-Schofields and Hilary Knight and Marie-Philippe Poulin and Sarah Nurse, and the list goes on. And so we've been on a mission to drive awareness towards the women's game, but also build the foundation and start to create what the future of women's professional hockey looks like. And so it's been an awesome ride. We're not done yet, but really excited to get to Washington. It's a market we've never been in. We've been talking with the Capitals for a little bit now, and just so excited about their passion for growing the sport, for the market of women's hockey there. I know they just launched their All Caps, All Her program, and all of that is so exciting to see these clubs that are so influential in the hockey world step up and say, we can do more. And we bring women and girls into this. And at the end of the day, we all love hockey, period. And we want the game to grow in every single way. And the women's side is just one part of that.
Yeah, and for those of you who are not familiar with it, there's going to be some clinics going on March 3rd to the 5th, and then some action here at MedStar Capitals IcePlex March 4th to 6th, featuring some of the PHWA, PA's best. What are you looking forward to and what should fans who are going to be coming here look forward to out of what's happening outside of Washington here?
Well, lots of things. Obviously, some of the top players in the world competing. So we have 4 teams coming in out of Toronto, Calgary, Minnesota, and Boston. You're going to see some former national team players, some players that are, just coming out of college, up and coming. So really great hockey. Secondly, the community activation. So you talk about the clinics and
right.
Really, getting out on the ice with young girls in the community, with women who play the game in the community, and hopefully leaving a lasting impact there. And then, of course, on the personal side, we're all excited to get to Washington. I've been there once or twice. I love the city, get to check out the city, hopefully take in some Caps action and really just celebrate the women's game. We're coming off of a really successful Olympic Games for women's hockey and just trying to continue that excitement and spotlight on the game.
And you get to hang out with Karl.
I can't wait. Yeah, I as I said, I'm a hockey fan. I remember watching Karl for a long time. So excited to have you be a part of it as well.
No, it's going to be fun, and just so you know, obviously with Washington doing this, this is a hockey town now. It's come such a long way in the last 15 years. So I think it's a great spot to be. I think you'll see that, and the fans will really appreciate it. But just going back, when it really hits home when you say, you don't really dream of winning the Stanley Cup like you want to, but there just isn't that path to it, and it's just one of those things that really makes you upset. I want
4 Olympic gold medals though here, so which is great.
Is you don't have that dream, and luckily you do have the dream of going to the Olympics, and one of the most decorated Olympians, and it's so cool. 4 in a row Olympic gold medals. I just have to highlight that because that was huge for me. Big bragging rights, of course, with all my American friends. So thank you for doing that. And it was so much fun to watch. And then mentioning that just having such a successful Olympics this time around, the hockey was unbelievable, and the caliber of these ladies playing is just wild. Like, I played a few summers in a row with a lot of ladies that played high level hockey, and 100% you guys can hang, and it's really, really impressive. And that's why I'm so fired up to see you guys come here so people can see it in person, not just on TV. And I want to ask you this question about what's going on the European side, because obviously hockey is doing really, really good here.
Yep.
But do you see that some opportunity for the women in Europe to come over and play as well, or are you just trying to work on what's going on in North America right now? Because I would assume that there's some high level players there as well.
Yeah, there's some incredible, top 10, maybe arguably top 5 players in the world that don't play in North America right now. And the challenge is that the resources are varied from country to country. And that's impacting our sport right now, that if the investment is not made, these players who still happen to be the best in the world are getting, very little investment put in them and their sport. So our vision of a women's professional league would be one that attracts the best players from around the world, regardless of where you come from. And in order to do that, you have to have that, the strong business case in place. You have to be able to provide a respectable wage for someone to move across the world to play in a league. You have to provide health insurance and benefits for them. You have to have a position where this is a full-time job for them. They go to the rink every day, much like you guys do, Karl, and you go to work every day, right? You go, you train, you skate, you have full-time staff around you, support, medical services, so that you can optimize your performance. And we want a league where cities want athletes to come in because they believe they're going to win them a championship. And so none of that has ever existed for women's hockey. And so that's why we've decided that, the time is now. There's so many, I don't know how many data points we need, but they've been coming and coming and coming. And you come out of these Olympics and the viewership ratings have been unreal on both sides of the border here. And it's never been more true than now that this is it, and this is the time to really get this going.
And we've seen we saw the WNBA, the Washington Mystics, win a championship here. How cool would it be to have a women's Washington Capitals team in a women's league here, and being able to build that in several NHL markets at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. We all look to these other professional leagues and what they can provide, how they impact their communities. It's all, it's what we aspire to. And we look to the WNBA and what they've done. And, 25 years later, what can we learn from them? What mistakes maybe can we avoid? How do we short circuit their 25-year success? And then the NWSL, and, as recently as yesterday with the landmark equal pay announcement. I mean, it's just, we look to these other leagues for leadership. But we also know that, we believe hockey is the best sport in the world, and we want to continue to advance it. We want to grow it. We know that the NHL clubs can help do that with their built-in infrastructure and the resources they have. And so, anytime we get to come in and work with a club like we will with the Washington Capitals, that helps us provide the type of professional and experience and environment that these athletes need and deserve.
Yeah, and I think what's cool too is it can create a pipeline for women to jump into the NHL in management roles and stuff.
Sure.
Like in Vancouver, we have I'm sure I don't pronounce her name right, but Emily Castonguay. Is she French?
Yeah.
She's French Canadian.
Yeah,
and Cami Granado is also assistant GM there.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. So providing a pipeline of women that can go from this, that have this experience playing professional hockey, to if they want to jump to NHL clubs and just kind of grow out that platform a little bit. And you say you don't have the dream of winning a Stanley Cup.
You can
as
now.
a player,
Yeah.
But now you can win it in the front office, and that's just nice to have that option. I think it'd be sweet. Like we were talking about this before, like almost turning it into how the NHLs have their minor league affiliates. Now you have your women's affiliate, and I just think that I'm a guy that likes to see the ideas, and I'm just getting really fired up for it now for you guys. So
I hope the talent flows both ways, right? Like you have all these women that are now coming into the NHL, and big believer in diversity of thought, and how bringing in a different voice, a different experience can create a better outcome. And it's going to work in reverse ways. Hopefully folks from the NHL will want to be a part of this building of something bigger on the women's side. And that's going to be valuable to us as well. So again, it's the end of the day, it's about hockey. It's about growing our sport. It's about making sure that every young kid wants to put on a pair of skates and try the game, and that's going to make us all better.
Absolutely. So at MedStar Capitals IcePlex, the Secret Dream Gap Tour, March 4th to 7th. When we come back on All's Caps, Jayna Hefford will be the latest victim of Karl's stupid questions. Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. We're joined by PWHPA operations consultant Jayna Hefford, four-time Olympic gold medalist, of course, for Karl's Canadian team. And now she joins us for Karl's stupid questions.
Yes, so excited about it. So I gave you a little bit of a rundown about what's going on. I have a rankings list as well from...
This is very scientific.
Yeah, it's super scientific. If you saw my notes, you'd be impressed. And so, yeah, nothing too hard-hitting. Just we have fun with it. Okay, so the first one is fairly standard, but I'm curious with all the success that you've had and what you're doing now, do you have a moment in hockey that you're most proud of?
Probably at this point, Hockey Hall of Fame induction. That kind of brings everything all together. It brings your on-ice experience, but also brings in, really all the people that helped get you there. So it's a pretty powerful moment of reflecting on all those that were important along the way.
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's just, for you, say a dream to win the Stanley Cup, a dream to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's impressive. So that's an excellent answer. I was scrolling through your Instagram and I think I saw you had a bottle of bourbon on there. Was that what you're celebrating with one day for something? Is that right?
If I remember right, it was a gift to me from a friend who was out in Utah, if I remember the right one. But yeah, I've become more so of a bourbon and a whiskey fan over the last few years. So tend to indulge occasionally.
Yes, that leads me to my question. What's your go-to drink? Hanging out, what would you go to?
Go to Blackbush Irish whiskey.
Oh, yes. Ooh. Interesting. I like that. Okay.
I had Johnny Walker Blue in Beijing, which was too smoky for my taste. Yeah. But you guys are more Scotch bourbon drinkers than I am, I think.
Yeah, I like to dabble in a little bit of everything.
We might have to indulge in one in Washington.
Yes, exactly. I got a little collection. I'll bring some out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had this happen to me last night. I played in a men's league game. I got back at midnight or whatever, and I go to the pantry, gotta find something. Last night I had chips and salsa. What would be your late night snack?
Cereal.
Cereal. Oh, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
I love cereal.
What kind of cereal?
My favorite is Honey Bunches of Oats.
Oh, okay. Yes. Awesome. Okay. That's a really good answer.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, 'cause I love cereal too.
Everybody loves cereal.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
You're getting bonus points for that. I can see that.
That's for sure bonus points. That got me excited. Okay, if you could be the face of any company, what company would it be? Any company in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, tough one.
That's really tough. Oh man, you got me on that one.
No, it's tough. When I think about it for myself too, I'm just like something that I would want to be able to get a lot of. Something I'd be able to use, I don't know, be like a...
You can go that way, or I'm thinking of something I really stand for, right?
Yes.
We work with a company called Parity, and their entire mission is to help get women paid, female athletes paid. So I would go along the lines of what I value.
And I think being the face of the PWHPA, or one of the faces of that, is a valuable thing you're already doing in this line of work.
Powerful, yeah.
Nice. That's better answer than what I was going for.
Whiskey would be cool too, though.
Yeah, whiskey would be cool. Yes.
So we'll say that's number 2. Okay, so you are in Kingston. Is that what it was?
Toronto now, but grew up in Kingston.
Okay, so if you could live anywhere, where would you live besides where you're living right now?
Hawaii.
Yes.
That's probably my favorite place I've visited.
Do you have a particular island?
We were on 3 different ones. I mean, Kauai was pretty cool because it's a little less populated and obviously beautiful.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's, if I were to go to Hawaii, it would be Kauai as well.
Your choice is Northern Virginia, so.
Yeah, I chose Northern Virginia, exactly. All right, last one for you here. Okay, now let's think selfishly on this one. If you had $1 million that you had to blow on whatever you wanted, not anything that you felt like you had to buy, what would you spend it on?
I would probably take all of my closest friends and family on a wicked vacation.
Yes, to Hawaii?
Maybe to Hawaii, yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, that's a good one. I feel like that's probably the way to go with that question.
A really fun group trip, right?
Like imagine the trip you get for $1 million. It'd be unbelievable. Really well done. Okay, let me tally these up here. First question, Hall of Fame, cereal. Extra bonus.
I've got to win this with the cereal one.
Well, I mean, you're definitely going to be up there. Let me just quickly tally. 15. Boy, wow.
This is his Drew Carey bit where he does the points.
Do I get to know other people's rankings?
Yeah.
I'll let you know where you are. Yeah. You finished with 178 points, which
second
puts you into second, by a long way. Really,
okay.
really. The only reason why it wasn't first is because we had Greg Wyszynski get 274 because of his breakfast sandwich answer that he gave us. Which
that's solid.
But if you see the connection there is breakfast sandwich really got me going,
and
cereal really got me going. So
future guests on this show know that to get high points, talk about things that involve breakfast.
Exactly.
You're not coffee. Are you a coffee guy?
Yes, I love
Okay,
coffee.
so coffee, breakfast stuff. I know you're not used to silver medals. You're a gold medal winner and a Hall of Famer. You get more than a silver medal for us, Jayna. Thank you for joining us on All's Caps, and can't wait to see you in DC and in Arlington for the Secret Dream Gap Tour.
Awesome. Can't wait to be there and looking forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks, Jayna.
Thank you all for listening on All's Caps. We'll talk to you next week.